Thankfully, the phase of anticipation is over and there's no need for another bad estimation attempt. No, Kia has just released the first official photo of the new pickup. Of course, it didn't show a completely unveiled pickup, but things are much better compared to what we've been seeing until this moment. And that was no more than a heavily camouflaged truck. In this photo, you can see a pickup with such a colorful exterior paint that looks like it was borrowed directly from a hippie van. Obviously, Kia's idea was to use these bold colors to hide as much as possible, to distract our visual sense as much as possible. And even though they've succeeded to some point, some details about the new pickup are pretty clear. Of course, most things are happening at the front, where you can see an upright grille with headlights that closely resemble designs from models like Telluride and the all-electric EV9. On the other hand, the grille comes with a pretty bold design with several vertical bars that should also accentuate the model's rugged design. Speaking of the rugged design, let's not neglect the front bumper design, which clearly features a shape optimized for better approach angle, while a couple of tow hooks also suggest that this particular unit might be a dedicated off-road version. That off-road character continues through chunky fenders, which unlike most of the bodywork, don't come in that colorful finish but rather stick with the good old black plastics. Along with them, it's easy to notice meaty all-terrain tires, which once again suggest strong off-road aspiration. Another interesting thing we've noticed about the revealed model is that, once again, Kia has presented just a crew cab version. Does this mean that there are no plans for a single or extended cab version? It's still unclear, but if we consider that most of the competition even offers chassis cab versions, it's highly anticipated to see Kia's pickup in a variety of configurations. A genuine pickup. Although Kia never specified the actual construction of the Tasman, it's pretty clear that this is going to be a body-on-frame pickup. There are so many indicators, starting from the fact that during the testing phase, the mule was often tested alongside the Ford Ranger. Moreover, its boxy shape is also an obvious indicator of the body-on-frame construction. After all, Kia plans to compete in markets like Australia, Africa, and the Middle East, where toughness and durability are the most desired characteristics of any vehicle. So even though there was a tiny possibility to see the same approach as in the case of the sister company Hyundai, which released a unibody pickup in North America, now it's clear that this is not going to happen. After all, the name says a lot. The Tasman comes from the Australian island Tasmania, with the clear intention to evoke a spirit of adventure and exploration, according to Kia. But fancy words aside, another thing that clearly suggests a body-on-frame design approach is the suspension setup. A few months ago, when the new Tasman was tested alongside the Ford Ranger, one of the spy photographs managed to take a photo of the truck's underbody, which clearly show exposed rear suspension with good old leaf springs, meaning that Kia is serious about making this pickup a capable tower and hauler. During the aforementioned testing alongside the Ford Ranger, we also got the opportunity to learn more about the truck's dimensions. When they stood next to each other, we were able to clearly see that the Tasman was going to feature a pretty similar size as Ford's pickup. We noticed a slightly shorter wheelbase but a similar overall length, which may indicate some differences in terms of the overall capabilities, especially when it comes to ride quality and off-road capabilities. But generally, the Tasman appears to be a pickup that checks all the important boxes in this highly demanding segment. Powertrain and performance. The nameplate clearly suggests that Kia sees Australia as the main market for its new pickup. Therefore, we have no doubt that the main powertrain option will be a diesel. That should be the company's well-known 2.2-liter four-cylinder turbo diesel, which already comes in one quite adequate variant regarding max output. That version of the engine puts out around 148 kilowatts and 440 newton meters of torque, which is almost on par with the key players in the segment. That's why we might see some minor revisions, especially in terms of getting more torque, considering that key rivals, Hilux and Ranger, both come with engines that feature 500 newton meters of max torque. But then, let's not forget the company's plans to compete in the Middle East as well as in Africa. There, a simpler and more reliable naturally aspirated gas-powered engine might be the better choice. Kia's portfolio is pretty decent in this aspect and includes a couple of V6 units that may find their place under the hood of the Tasman. The 3.8-liter V6 with 291 horsepower, for example, is one of them. But let's stick with a diesel engine for a bit more because some competitors also come with 6-cylinder turbo diesels such as the VW Amarok, for example. Kia might have a proper engine for this scenario as well. A 3.0-liter inline-6 oil burner that puts out around 204 kilowatts and 588 newton meters of torque. The only potential problem with this application could be the emission standards, which are getting stricter and stricter every year. As for the transmission, we presume that no matter the engine choice, the new 2025 Tasman would be coupled with an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Some sources speculate about a dual-clutch transmission, but we don't see that as a particularly likely scenario, as pickup drivers prefer more conventional units with a torque converter. Of course, base models would come with rear-wheel drive, while a four-wheel drive setup would be offered as an option, with significantly improved traction and off-road potential. Speaking of the off-road potential, we are pretty sure that Kia is going to offer an off-road dedicated version. And it's not just about the mule that featured tow hooks and massive all-terrain tires, it's also about the fact that one of the test models featured a little bit different suspension setup, with coils instead of good old leaf springs. Of course, such a model would also come with increased ground clearance, as well as other essential off-road features such as low-range gearing, locking differential, and many more. What do you think? Can Kia design an off-roader that's as capable as the Ford Ranger Raptor, for example? Let us know in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe because more exciting previews are coming. Interior design. When it comes to the interior design, we already talked about how Kia only presented a crew cab version so far. That model comes with 4 full-size doors and a cargo bed that would probably feature around 1.5 meters in length. In other words, it would be typical for the segment, with enough passenger space in both rows and a decently functional cargo area. However, what's also typical for the segment are other cab configurations. Most competitors also offer single and extended cab variants, along with chassis cab configurations. Kia's officials have been quiet on this so far, but we presume the new truck would come at least in some of these additional variants. The extended cab model would be our pick, which would offer a slightly bigger cargo bed, probably around 1.8 meters long. When it comes to the cabin design, not many things are known at the moment. Spy photographers did manage to take a few interior shots, but they didn't show much, considering that the company camouflaged the dashboard and surrounding areas. What can be seen are seats with a nice mix of leather and cloth upholstery, while it also appears that the new truck is going to feature a traditional gear lever, instead of some modern rotary or button select. As for the dashboard design, we presume Kia is going to implement its latest design philosophy, which involves a lot of quality, soft-touch materials, and the latest tech features. Of course, base models will probably be work-oriented and, therefore, feature a rather basic layout, with analog instrument gauges and a smaller infotainment screen. On the other end, range-topping models are expected to come with Kia's contemporary curved panel design that incorporates a digital instrument cluster, along with a bigger infotainment screen. These most expensive versions will also feature all kinds of connectivity and other modern tech features, so the Tasman could even be comparable with some luxury SUVs on the market. Release date and potential US launch. According to the latest reports, the 2025 Kia Tasman will be launched in Australia first, along with the domestic Korean market, and that is expected to happen by the end of this year. As for the price, the officials are still quiet, but if we consider that Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger and Crew Cab 4x4 versions start at around 49,000 AU, we may presume that a similarly configured Kia pickup is going to cost a little bit lower, probably in mid-40,000 area. Soon after the Australian launch, the new pickup truck will be coming to parts of the world like the Middle East and Africa. As for North America, things are still pretty unclear. At first, this didn't seem particularly likely, but then, we spotted a Kia Tasman testing in California, which clearly says that something is cooking in Kia's kitchen. Details about the US market version are still unknown, but we know that one of the challenges could be the so-called chicken tax on import pickup trucks, which means that Kia would probably have to establish Tasman's production somewhere in North America. What do you think of the 2025 Kia Tasman? Could it become a class leader one day? Or do you think that the position of Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger are untouchable? Tell us what you think in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.